Hello and thanks for stopping by. This is Double Dragon 2: The Revenge, running on an Evercade Versus console as part of the Technos Arcade Collection 1. This is the straight arcade version, and this game starts out pretty rough for your girlfriend Maria. This is not a happy story, it is a story of revenge. Double Dragon 2 was released in 1988 by Technos Japan, and this game was clearly designed to eat your quarters. Now, I know that all arcade games are designed to eat quarters on some level, but there needs to really be a balance between some kid giving up a quarter and the amount of time that you actually get to play a game. When I was a kid, a quarter felt like it was worth more than it is worth today. If you went to an arcade with a $5 bill, your hope was to play video games for the entire afternoon. If you were playing games and that $5 was gone in like 5 minutes, I'm willing to bet that's going to affect the type of games you play the next time you come to that arcade. In this game, you play Billy, or Jimmy, and you walk around beating the hell out of all these gang members on your way to get to the main boss at the end, some guy named Willie, the leader of the Black Warriors. I'm not sure about this LY alliteration and all of these names of the main characters. Jimmy, Billy, Willie. There's not much of a variety of names here, and honestly, Willie as a name does not sound very menacing. I think I remember this series being most notable for the fact that you get co-op play and the ability to not only fight, but pick up weapons and items along the way that you can use to defeat enemies. I remember this being kind of a new thing back then in the arcade, being able to pick up a barrel and smash somebody over the head with it, or pick up a knife, or maybe a chain. In this game, you play a tough guy bent on revenge, and you're not a martial artist. Really, you're more of a street brawler. You get 3 buttons, and they employ a rather odd control mechanic. You press the left button to attack people on the left side, and the right button to attack people on the right side of the screen. The third button is for jumping. This is an odd way to do it, and it's different than the original Double Dragon. More modern games these days would dedicate 1 button to punch and 1 button to kick. But at the time, there weren't a ton of arcade games like this, so I guess they were trying something different. Now, I think the Evercade controller probably doesn't help much for this game. You really need to be fast pushing these buttons, and I think it might be easier if you had an arcade stick. You get a bunch of different enemy sprites running around, but not a ton. You're going to see plenty of repeats, of course. Which actually is a little strange to me, because one of the sprites has an eye patch, which would mean that this gang that you keep beating up has maybe 10 or 15 people that are missing one eye. It just seems a little odd to me, I guess. There's also some violence against women in this one. If it's not your girlfriend getting gunned down in a jealous rage at the beginning, it's some 80s Mohawk gal. Yeah, they usually try to stab you first, but you're still beating them up. I think the levels are simple enough, and they're not particularly large. There's also some odd variety. At one point you're in a field for some reason, and suddenly there's a thresher that can reach out to stab you. I don't know, it seemed kind of random for a game that I really thought was set in the inner city. Like I said, there aren't a ton of different stages. You get 4 main stages as you progress, and the thing that's kind of frustrating here is they don't just make the enemies more difficult, but they start to mess with the difficulty of the level itself. I find this a little suspect. The game is naturally getting harder, and then they actually shrink the playing field. You get to a point where you can walk off the bottom of the map and lose a life immediately. Why would you do that? The game is already eating quarters. It's a reasonably difficult game, and the only recourse you have for getting past some of these villains is to dodge up and down and get out of the line of their swings. Now they make it so you can accidentally die if you move down at the wrong moment? That's just a cheap way to take a life, I think. I mean, arcade games in general, they're tougher when you compare them to console games. But it's infuriating when you pop in a quarter and the game is over in 20 seconds. That quarter leaving my pocket needs to equate to time playing a game. Losing a life so fast, it's just not a good return on investment. Playing it here, though, with the Evercade Versus, obviously I get to dump as many quarters in it as I want. I mean, in the arcade, I would have given up on this one long before finishing. Eventually you start to get near the end. Doesn't take too long. I think I beat this one in 45 minutes. But when you start getting deeper into the game, you start losing tons of lives. I mean, I know I'm playing one player, but these guys are all over me. Sometimes I can barely get in one hit, so making a combo happen, that's pretty much out of the question. Eventually you meet and get to fight the mighty Willy, and still the game isn't over. This ghost comes out of the ground, I think it's supposed to be your ghost, and it proceeds to beat the snot out of you. This is even worse than the boss fight. You have to beat yourself head to head, while your spirit version can actually shoot fireballs, or will disappear into the ground and just teleport over you and do damage, without you being able to do anything to reply. It's a foolish boss with cheap moves. A bunch of quarters later, hopefully, you get through him and you get to see the ending to the game. A picture of the fighters and your girlfriend. That's it. Bummer. There's not even a paragraph to read here. It seems to me, at least based on what we have here, there was probably more effort put into enjoying the gameplay. Like, it's the journey, as opposed to the satisfaction of actually having an end. I'd be bummed if I paid for this game and it was the only game on the cart. Because, well, you just punch and stuff, and there's no real satisfaction at the end. But, I don't know, having this one as part of a bunch of games on a cartridge makes me fine with it. It's nice to be able to play an arcade version at home, and I think this one probably is a little more fun if you're playing with a friend anyway. Just running around, taking a swing at everybody, and having a good old time. Overall, I guess it's okay. Not bad, and I saved a lot of quarters. Well, that's all I have today for Double Dragon 2 The Revenge on the Evercade vs. console. If this is your type of video, please feel free to like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and thanks for watching. Hope to catch you on another video.